Chapter 12. That afternoon, Principal Carmichael announced that People magazine would visit on Friday, which meant that Vincent's good deed would spread throughout waiting rooms and beauty shops everywhere. Maybe he'd sign a book deal. Maybe someone would buy the movie rights. The possibilities were endless. Fortune had cast its big golden net over the swimmer from Nordby. Despite the chill, I felt kind of springy walking home, almost perky. It was one of those rare moments when I wasn't comparing myself to everybody else. Elizabeth had helped me see the ridiculousness of the checklist. And with Vincent in our corner, we would make tons of money at the festival. We'd call it Heroes Hot Chocolate with the actual heroes serving it. Our line would wind down the sidewalk, blocking the entrance to Java Heaven. I snickered, imagining Mr. Darling yelling at us to move the line. We'd donate 10%, no, make it 11% to the local charity. Sure, Heroes Hot Chocolate was a short-term answer, but one thing at a time. Lars, the oldest of the boys, sat on the bus bench, his ruddy face half hidden behind an upturned collar. "How come you're not at Anna's?" I asked. "Can't get down the hill. My legs are giving me trouble." I sat next to him. "Did you take your arthritis medicine?" "Can't remember." He scratched a tuft of white ear hair. "I might fall going down that hill. There's no dignity falling in public." "I'll help you walk," I said. "Elder care volunteer." He pulled his knit hat over his ears. "I don't need help. I'm taking the bus." "But Lars, you know your son doesn't want you to take the bus." He narrowed his cloudy eyes. "My son needs to mind his own business. It's a public bus, and I'm the public." Lars' son was Officer Larson. Officer Larson had sent his father to a detox facility dozens of times, but he always went back to drinking. Last year, at age 82, Lars had almost killed some joggers on his drive home from the Nordby pub. The state took away his driver's license. A few days later, he moved in with his son. The doctor said that Lars' liver was in terrible condition, along with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and stiff joints. He needed to start exercising or he wouldn't live much longer. But Lars wanted nothing to do with exercise, so Officer Larson hatched a plan. There would be no alcohol in the house. If Lars wanted to drink, he'd have to walk the mile to the Nordby pub on Main Street. That way, he'd be forced to get some exercise. All the locals knew not to give Lars a ride. Everyone agreed that it was for his own good. According to the doctor, the walking had improved Lars' health. So every afternoon he walked the mile. He'd stop at Anna's for coffee and soup. Officer Larson kept a tab there, and every other day he'd play a game of falafel. Then he'd end each evening at the pub. His son would pick him up on his way home from patrol. But on that particular Wednesday afternoon, Lars had mutiny on his mind. When the bus pulled up, he hobbled forward. As the door hissed open, he reached for the handrail. Millie heaved herself from the driver's seat and blocked the entrance. "Just what do you think you're doing?" "I'm riding the bus today," Lars said, "so get out of my way." "Now, Lars, you know I can't let you on." Millie would have made a great drill sergeant, the way her voice slammed right into your head. "Look here, woman, this is public transportation. I promised your son, you know that. My son's an idiot. Move aside. Walking's good for you." Lars yanked his hat off his head and shook it at her. "My legs can't take it. I'm gonna fall. Mark my words, I'm gonna fall and then I'll sue you and everybody else." I felt embarrassed for him, not because we all knew he was an alcoholic, but because he knew he wasn't as strong as he used to be. That had to be one of the worst parts of getting old. "You need to get yourself a walker," Millie said. "My aunt uses one and she can go up and down a hill, no problem." "I don't need a walker." "You need something." Millie leaned out the door. "Hey, Katrina, help Lars get down the hill, will you?" "Sure," I said. Lars shook his hat again. "You think I need help? Look here, woman. This body used to haul 200-pound crab pots from the ocean. These legs have fought storms that would break you like a wishbone. I don't need help." "Look, old man, don't you call me woman," Millie said. "Hey, Katrina." I ran to the door. "Stop in at the pharmacy on the way home and see if they have any walkers." "Walkers?" Spit flew from Lars' thin lips. "I don't need a damn walker." "You're a stubborn one," Millie said. "You won't use a walker and you won't take Katrina's help." "Lars," I said gently, "you should let someone help you." "I'd be happy to help." Millie sucked in her belly as Malcolm squeezed past her and down the bus's steps. "Where'd you come from?" she asked. "I don't remember picking you up." He paused on the lower step and smiled. "And I don't remember ever laying eyes on a lovelier bus driver." If people could melt like ice cream, that's what would have happened. Millie would just be a big puddle of rocky road. As Malcolm stepped off the bus, his kilt slipped up his thigh, muscular just like his calves. Millie patted her hair, smiling as if she'd been sipping Lars's whiskey. "Hey, lady, I'm gonna be late," someone hollered from the back of the bus. Millie returned to her seat. Malcolm waved as the bus door hissed closed. I shouldn't have been surprised to see him. He had told me he'd be back after he had delivered a message. Maybe with Lars around he wouldn't start in on all that good deed stuff. We stood on the sidewalk as the bus drove off. Lars stuck his hat on his head, then gave Malcolm the once-over. "What you wearing a skirt for?" Malcolm slung his satchel over his hip. "I find I'm partial to it. Quite comfortable." He offered his arm. "I'm happy to help you down the hill." "You some kind of fairy?" Lars asked, stepping back. "Is that why you're wearing a skirt?" I rolled my eyes. "Lars, he's offering to help you down the hill." "I assure you that I'm not a fairy. Fairies are fictional beings, manifestations of mankind's primal fear of nature. I am a messenger." Lars narrowed his eyes. "Whoop-dee-doo. I used to be a captain. Everyone called me Captain Lars. Now I'm a drunk, but I still got my dignity. I don't need your help." He started limping down the hill. His legs slightly bowed. We followed, flanking him like bodyguards. "Did you know that Hemingway was drunk?" Malcolm asked. Lars eyed him suspiciously. "So were Mozart and Dean Martin, but they had their dignity too." Malcolm had a nice way about him, a gentleness I hadn't noticed until that moment. Maybe my happy mood had clouded my judgment, the way ice cream can mask a sore throat. But here's something odd. Though Malcolm had spoken to Lars, and though his pupils had been fixed on Lars's face, I had felt his gaze on me. Felt it. He wasn't looking at me the way we look at people walking down the street, or food on a plate, or words in a book. He was seeing me. I shivered. "May I carry that for you?" he asked, pointing to my backpack. "It looks heavy." I still didn't know much about him. Would he try to steal my backpack? My wallet was inside. I only had $10, but still. Yet this time my inner voice didn't scream at me. It didn't say run. Part of me wanted to move closer to him, to feel him looking at me. "No thanks, I'm used to carrying it." Lars's limp made the going slow. I thought about running ahead to tell my grandmother all about how Vincent was going to help us, but I stayed, lingering in Malcolm's flowery scent, lingering in the strange sensation of being noticed. "What's wrong with your leg?" Malcolm asked Lars. "I'm old, that's what's wrong. Everything's falling apart. You'll find out." "I won't get old," he said without a hint of humor. What did he mean? Was he suicidal? One of Mr. Prince's posters popped into my head. "Know the warning signs of suicide." I hadn't bothered to read any further. "Kids never think they'll get old," Lars grumbled, "but life goes by fast. Real fast." The sudden rush of emotion made Lars stumble. Malcolm caught him by the arm. "Let go," Lars snarled after regaining his balance. "I don't need help, and I don't need a walker. No dignity in using a walker. Bad enough the whole town knows I'm a drunk." We started walking again, but this time Lars hobbled ahead. "Katrina, you promised that when I returned you would tell me what you most desired. I still need to reward your good deed." Oh, great, back to that again. I grabbed a tissue from my pocket. Cold air always made my nose run. What could I tell him? "Hold on, now." Lars stopped walking. He turned and peered up at Malcolm, his eyes half ridden by his knit hat. "You want to give Katrina what she most desires?" Malcolm nodded. "I've tried, but she won't tell me what it is." Lars shook his head. "She'll never tell you. No woman ever tells. And no man's ever been able to figure it out. You'll be guessing for the rest of your life, and you'll always guess wrong. Women like it that way because it gives them something to complain about." "That's ridiculous," I said, crumpling the tissue and dropping it into a garbage can. Malcolm gripped his satchel. "I can't guess for the rest of my life. That's not possible. And I can't be on my way until I reward her. She's imprisoned me, you see." "Imprisoned?" Lars glared at me. "You should be ashamed, Katrina, playing with this boy's heart." "What?" I just about choked on my own spit. They were both crazy. "It's all in this book." Malcolm opened his satchel and pulled out the black book. "You studying to be a lawyer?" Lars asked after reading the book's title. "I want you to sue the city for me. That's a public bus, and I'm the public. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a messenger." Malcolm opened the book and read, "If it doth come to pass that during the course of thy travels an unsolicited, unselfish act of kindness is bestowed upon thee, then thou must reward the act by granting the bestower that which the bestower most desires." Lars scratched his head. "You don't say." "I don't want to guess. I've had troubles in the past making guesses that didn't quite work out. I can't afford to make another mistake." Lars screwed up his face. "Uh-huh." Malcolm turned to a new page. There's a handy chart in here. It says that the most common thing people ask for is fortune, but Katrina didn't want that. She gave it to her friend. The second most common thing people ask for is fame. Lars and Malcolm turned and looked at me. Yep, that's right, I was still standing there. I don't know why. I should have left those two idiots in the dust. Could fame be what you most desire? Malcolm asked. Fame. Seemed like famous people were mostly miserable, spending their time denying rumors, punching photographers, checking themselves into rehab. What good were billions of dollars and a recognizable face if you couldn't even walk your dog in pajama bottoms without some jerk following you and then plastering your picture across every grocery store tabloid so people in checkout lines could stand around and talk about you as if they knew you? Look how fat she's gotten. She's not so pretty. She's so tall she should join the Maasai tribe. Katrina? Malcolm's inky blue gaze swept over me like a feather duster. I shivered again. Do you desire fame? Vincent seemed to be enjoying his fame, and it couldn't hurt our coffeehouse if I became the world's most famous person. What would I be famous for? Filling jam pots? Not that I believed in the whole magic bean thing, but I'd never get rid of this guy if I didn't finish his game. I'll choose fame. He pulled the packet of chocolate-covered coffee beans from his satchel. I've only got 2 left. They were very tasty. He picked out a bean and closed his eyes. Everything went quiet. No cars, no seagulls. Even Lars held his wheezy breath. The world froze, but I didn't freeze. My heart pounded. I looked left, then right. Nothing else moved. I stood there out of sync with a world suspended. What's happening? I whispered. Malcolm's thick lashes rested on his cheeks. He seemed frozen, too. I stared at his face, my gaze drawn to his mouth. Some guys had pencil-thin lips, but his lower lip was as perfect as his upper lip. What would it be like to kiss him? That thought, which popped into my head without an invitation, surprised me with its vividness. Malcolm's eyes flew open, and he smiled. I stepped away, and the world came back to life. Here you go. He held out the bean. And don't pretend to eat it like you did last time. I'm not stupid. What had just happened? I felt a little dizzy, and frightened. Maybe it was a blood sugar thing and I just needed to eat a cookie. I needed to get back to the coffeehouse and sit down. If I eat this now, will fame come right away? I believe so. Then I'd like to wait. I mean, look at me. If I'm going to be famous, I'd like to fix my hair or maybe put on something nice. You should put on a dress, Lars said. A nice dress. Girls don't wear dresses anymore. Yeah, I should put on a nice dress. Malcolm frowned. You won't eat it now? I'll eat it later. You wouldn't be trying to trick me. No, I'm freezing my nuts off, Lars said. Take the bean. I took the bean and put it in my pocket. Well then, I guess I'm done. I guess I won't be seeing you again. For a moment, his blue eyes, so deep and vivid, faded to gray. When he sighed, a cold breeze slid down my spine. Time to be on my way, or I'll get into trouble. I wish you a long and healthy life, Katrina Svensson, and to you, Lars Larson, I wish you dignity. Up the hill he went, just like last time, except he stopped to look back, sadness clearly imprinted on his face. Then he was gone. I don't think that boy's right in the head, Lars said. The pages in his book were blank. Maybe I wasn't right in the head. The pharmacy sat across the street. Wait here, I told Lars. They didn't have any walkers in stock. They'd have to order one, and it was real expensive. I told the counter person I'd get back to him. I thought about asking if he knew anything about hallucinations, but decided against it. When I caught up to Lars, he was almost at Anna's. His limp had improved. Hey, Katrina! He held up a cane. Isn't it a beauty? Look, the handle's carved like a fish, and my name's right on it. Captain Lars. Where'd you get it? I just found it. He waved it above his head and smiled. Now this has some dignity.